Newsom. As the Wall Street Journal alluded to, you know what you could have done to alleviate this? Since you want to take the Trump administration to court and say that he had no business federalizing the National Guard, you could have called the National Guard. You could have made sure that law enforcement throughout the city of Los Angeles had a very strong, vibrant, conspicuous.
Following Stephen A. Smith's transformation of California into a crime scene, Gavin Newsom is the primary suspect. I take it that Stephen saved the tirade for LeBron takes. Today, instead, he's burning hair gel, hypocrisy, and whatever political swagger Newsom has left. Why would the sports talk king criticize a governor so harshly? What triggered this verbal abuse? Grab some popcorn. This isn't a political issue, it's just plain fun with a Stephen A. flamethrower twist. Let's begin.
It might have alleviated the possibility of him calling in, meaning Trump calling in the National Guards and the Marines. You could have done that, but you didn't. And because you didn't, you gave him the opening to do it. Because it makes you look like you're weak on crime, you're weak on lawlessness, you're weak on borders. All the things that got him elected, you're playing it.
If you like it, kindly subscribe to the channel. You'll be surprised at how much it helps. At first, there was a sizzle, the kind of rage that only Stephen A. Smith can deliver. But this time, he wasn't questioning NBA referees or Kyrie Irving's mood swings. Absolutely not. The slick-haired king of the Golden State, Gavin Newsom, was the target of his flamethrower. And let's pretend that California was already burning symbolically when Stephen A. just poured premium rocket fuel on top of it.
My personal belief is that the political career of Gavin Newsom is in peril, if not flat out over. His presidential aspirations have been eviscerated. There is no way he overcomes this. No way. And in regards to Karen Bass, to say nothing, you can come and speak out, but that video will live in infamy. You had absolutely...
You might be wondering how the governor of California got into the same verbal altercation, usually reserved for the chaos surrounding LeBron's contract talks. Simple. He dared to speak as though California is the land of opportunity and freedom, even though people are fleeing the state like it's the Titanic and Newsom is the iceberg.
Why the hell are you playing right into the hands of Donald Trump? Because I got news for you. On this particular issue, as it involves migrants, immigrants, those who are undocumented, dare we say illegal, in the United States of America, he's winning on this issue. There's a reason he won a popular vote. There's a reason he won the Electoral College vote. There's a reason he won every swing state. There are people within the United States of America that want our immigration crisis addressed and want the situation resolved somehow.
Stephen A. had an epiphany, you see. He looked over and saw Newsom presenting California like it was Disneyland during a press tour. This ain't it, Chief, he thought. It's not California's magic kingdom. It's more like a fancy haunted house with bad plumbing, high taxes, and a spooky smell rising from the sidewalks.
Flying all the way from Ghana, about a 15-hour flight to Los Angeles, and you're telling me you couldn't answer a reporter's question? No comment, we'll talk later, or let me huddle with my staff and we'll get back to you. You couldn't even think to say that? Nobody on your staff prepared you for what has been transpiring in California? Nobody gave you a warning, a heads up? You didn't have anything to say?
The man says it's a freedom state, yet toothpaste is locked away. Walgreens resembles a Cold War bunker. What does freedom mean? The chance to get your Uber by weaving through a tent city. Freedom to spend $8 per gallon on gas while driving 2 hours in traffic to a job that just got swallowed by Google. Stephen A. rumbled in irritation rather than merely disagreeing with Newsom. This outburst was comparable to the Yellowstone caldera. And let's face it, Stephen A.'s outbursts are performances, not just criticism. When he targets someone outside of sports, you know things are really messed up. Newsom's greatest hits were all playing. Remember the French laundry scandal? While the rest of California was locked down like a Costco liquor cabinet, he was dining on foie gras and sipping wine with lobbyists like Caesar in the Roman Empire. Meanwhile, Grandma couldn't go to church, and your nephew's kindergarten graduation was happening on Zoom.
I'd like to know why you didn't take Donald Trump up on that offer or Gavin Newsom up on his offer and arrest the governor of California at that particular moment in time. Is that just, I mean, normally when we've seen you, you said you wouldn't hesitate to arrest an elected official. He was daring you to do it. How come that didn't happen?
Well, first of all, I'm not a prosecutor. That's up to the Department of Justice. That they need to open a criminal case and prosecute. But that was really taken out of context because I did an interview in LA.
My friends, we call that the great Californian double standard trademark. That's why Stephen A. came in hotter than a Lakers fan after a fourth quarter meltdown. Newsom may be as charismatic as a presidential candidate, but he can't stop people from stealing shampoo from CVS. How can you lead a nation if your local Target looks like a post-apocalyptic flea market? Stephen A. ripped away the facade. Gavin's speeches and hairline won't fix homelessness, which makes up 30% of the nation's total. Instead of solutions, Newsom obsesses over dunking on red states, while California's population flees. People aren't moving to Texas for cowboy hats. They'd rather deal with bugs and humidity than blackouts and $5,000 rent for a closet.
I like Gavin Newsom. I think the brother looks the part. He looks presidential in them damn blue suits, no doubt about it. He's sharp as a tack. He's smart as hell. But on far too many occasions, when he was spewing out facts, it was rife with emotion. Instead of addressing the facts that the right was throwing in his direction to debunk anything that he had to say. But we forgot to mention that to Bill Maher on Real Time. This is the kind of problem that
Stephen A. saw it for what it was. A man trying to win a national popularity contest while his house burned down. Literally and figuratively. Fires, outages, fentanyl, crime, businesses fleeing. Newsom argues with Ron DeSantis on Fox while Californians wonder if he'll ever do his actual job. He zooms in for photo ops but feels absent. Stephen A. demanded accountability, not out of partisanship, but because people are tired of theater. Progress doesn't look like boarded up shops, unsafe streets, or moms afraid to take kids downtown. Resistance isn't just millionaires. It's everyday people trying to survive.
You talked about the right, when you talked about conservatives, when you talked about conservative folks out there and what their principles were and how they may not have been for transgender athletes competing in sports, how they may not have been for, for open borders, how they may not have been for sanctuary cities. Didn't you question their humanity in a roundabout way at the very least? Weren't you one of the voice boxes out there saying that stuff? Now, I like Gavin.
Stephen A. called out California's contradictions. Sky-high taxes with potholes, tent cities beside luxury condos, and an unreliable grid under climate leadership. Once seen as the party's future, Newsom now presides over a costly, over-regulated mess. Loud as ever, Stephen A. mocked the hypocrisy. Plastic straws banned, but free needles given, inclusivity preached while the middle class flees, and accessibility that only the rich can afford.
I would definitely be big time when it comes to addressing crime in the streets.
Okay, good.
The subway system in New York City, you're damn right I got a problem with that. Something needs to be. I'm a native of New York City.
Yeah.
I took the F and the E train all the time. I wouldn't want my family traveling on the subway right now.
Same with me, not
what
anymore.
I'm saying.
Do you take the subway anymore? I feel like you don't.
Well, I don't.
You don't.
I don't. But that's only because when you get popular and stuff like that, you try to avoid crowds.
You're too popular to take the subway.
I was in L.A. The homelessness that exists there, I got an issue with that. Certainly, when you look at Gavin Newsom and some of the policies that he's put forth, you're talking about a lot of different things that need to be addressed.
And don't forget the schools. California has one of the highest tax burdens in the country, yet classrooms still debate whether kids should actually learn math or just vibe their way to graduation. Stephen A. compared it to buying a courtside ticket and watching a JV team without a coach or even a basketball. Because this isn't just political theater, it's real life. Millions of people who don't care about politics are living it. They see boarded up businesses. They see underfunded police. They see overcrowded communities. They see a state with Silicon Valley wealth and Flint, Michigan vibes. Through it all, Stephen A. emphasized his value. He doesn't care about party lines. He cares about calling out the nonsense. He's a human lie detector fueled by decibels and disgust. And when he shouted at Gavin, it wasn't just noise. It was a cultural red flag.
Newsom in tears. I retweeted it, so if you have it, great. It's easier. There
Did
you
he
go.
actually cry, Pat?
Oh, you should see this here. If this is the clip with Anderson Cooper, Rob.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and play this clip.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
It's one can't even respond to it. I mean, it's
People are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives.
Why, though?
Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden.
He didn't need to be a policy expert. All he had to do was look around, listen to the people, and speak with intensity, probably while flailing his arms as if he were arguing with Max Kellerman about the GOAT. Newsom may survive the news cycle, but the message remains. Once Stephen A. has you in his sights, you don't escape. You leave burned and rebranded. You go from potential candidate to punchline. Stephen A. didn't just vent. He became the unofficial voice of every dad stuck in California traffic, every mom dodging needles on the way to school, every small business owner wondering why taxes feel like ransom notes. He's not a senator, not a pundit. He's a sports guy with a megaphone. And in that moment, he voiced what half the media is too polite or too well paid to admit.
Newsom criticized the party and implored fellow Democrats to take accountability for their losses and called the party's current brand, quote, toxic, end quote. Newsom appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher and said the following, quote, Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. We need to own our mistakes. We need to own what's wrong with our party. Part of the problem with the Democratic brand is that we talk down to people. We talk past people, end quote. Newsom recently launched a new podcast called, quote, This is Gavin Newsom.
We're sick of the bullshit, he shouted, and America didn't back down. Behind the spectacle was a verbal haymaker cold, harsh reality wrapped in a three-piece suit. Memes exploded after Stephen A.'s roast hair gel versus hairline trended, and Twitter lit up like the Super Bowl. Behind the jokes was truth. People are tired of empty speeches, high bills, unsafe streets, and being treated like props. That's why Stephen A. words stuck.
I don't even know what to say anymore about these elected officials in California.
In California, you pay a lot of taxes.
Hell yes. And by the way, they're the ones that put Gavin Newsom and people like Karen Bass in office. So now you realize you have Democrats who helped put them in office, clamoring for Donald Trump to be back in office.
The final dagger. At least when Stephen A. yells, it's entertaining. Newsom's actions usually end with a press release no one reads. Game, set, match. Somehow, the voice of reason, recently cut loose by ESPN, made more sense than anything out of Sacramento. And in classic Stephen A. fashion, he turned Newsom's press parade into a roast. He doesn't need focus groups, funders, or consultants. He just talks, loudly, endlessly, and honestly. And maybe that's what we need. Not another politician in a Patagonia vest asking for patience. Not another Instagram post. Maybe just someone willing to flail his arms and yell that the emperor is naked, and probably an idiot.
The governor hosted conservative guests like Charlie Kirk and the aforementioned Steve Bannon. Newsom also found common ground with the right on the issue of transgender athletes competing in women's sports. He called these athletes' participation, quote, deeply unfair, end quote. Bravo. Bravo. I mean, bravo. I'm so very touched, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, that you would say that. Why didn't you add that you were the one doing it? Because that's exactly what the hell you were doing.
Because while Gavin Newsom polishes his image and plans his next debate tour, California still suffers from broken promises, blackouts, and break-ins. And thanks to Stephen A. Smith, that reality just got amplified. So the next time Newsom walks onto a national stage with his rhetorical jazz hands and signature smirk, remember, the food's already cooked. Stephen A. has roasted him.